and welcome to another episode of the Rorschach Test Podcast. I am your host, Tyrell James, and today I have a very special guest, LC Rogers. Um, how are you doing first?
I'm doing good.
That's good. That's good. All right. So look, before I let you do your thing and speak a little bit about what you do, I want to kind of lay down the foundation here. So, for those of you all who don't know, LC or Lorraine, as I call her,
Right.
and you may hear me refer to her as Lorraine because that's just what I'm used to. But Lorraine or LC is is
Strike one.
it sounds weird saying that.
It's
Um,
okay.
but she is my son's mother. So again, just laying the foundation here. When we first met, she had a 10-month-old daughter who
Right.
very quickly became my daughter.
Right.
Um, and then so this actually came at a time when I was telling women, look, don't bring your kids around me because I'm not ready to be a father. But I was 20 years old, and I wasn't ready to. Well, I didn't think that I was ready to be a father until, um, you know, until I met my baby Alyssa. So, and
Right.
it was instant, and she's 21 now. So,
Yes.
um, and I've been in her life all of this time. And then years later, me and Lorraine ended up having a child together, Terrell. And then after we broke up, she was remarried and she was able to, I'm sorry, not, well, I say remarried. We weren't married. She was married before me.
Right.
So that's what I meant by remarried. But her husband, her and her husband, the time they had a child. And so all three of these children, I look
Right.
at as mine as well, just because, we have a very weird uh,
Right.
family dynamic thing going.
Dynamic.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Interesting. Not
Yes,
weird, but interesting.
it's weird.
It's
We are the
interesting.
weirdos.
It's interesting.
It is very interesting, but we are also the weirdos. People don't
Yeah.
do what we do.
Yes.
So, but we
We are
and
the
that's not to,
exception.
yes, and that's not to take anything away from both of the other children's fathers because they
Right.
have incredible fathers, very active. They are the men that they are supposed to be. Let me say that. So,
Correct.
but
Right.
they just respect me and see me as a father to their children as well, and I appreciate them. The reason that I wanted to lay down this foundation is because of the way that this podcast came about. So after watching one of my podcasts in the past, my wife turned to me and said, "Why haven't you interviewed Lorraine?"
Right.
And she said it in a way as of, "What is taking you so long to interview Lorraine? Like you should have done this by now." you know. And it really just for me at that moment, it highlighted the relationship between all of us.
All of us. Yeah.
Yeah, the relationship that you and her have, the relationship that
Right.
me and you have, the fact that she respects and encourages the relationship that you and I have.
Right.
The
Exactly.
fact, the fact that she looks at not only my biological child as hers as well, but the two
Right.
children that are not even biologically mine as hers as well.
Which is huge. That's huge.
Exactly. Exactly. It's huge. So I wanted to start this podcast by honoring my wife
Right.
because
Awesome.
because of the way that she wants to honor you.
Correct. Yep.
And
I
that
love
is
Honda.
yes. So that is
That's my
huge for
girl.
me.
That's my girl.
That is huge for me. And I just also, just want to thank you both for making my life so easy. Okay.
Right.
You make it very easy for me to be a father.
Right.
Um, and she makes it so easy to be a husband and a father to children who aren't even biologically mine.
Right.
And so it's you all just make things so easy, and I appreciate you both
Thank
so
you.
much for that. Now that all of that mushy crap is out of the way,
Right.
let's get to it. All right, so
Okay, let's get to it.
Lorraine, I don't know if I'm going to call you LC
It's
Rogers. This
okay.
is this
It's
is
okay.
really weird. I'm not doing that. So Lorraine, so I want you to just tell everybody exactly what it is that you do.
So I'm an author. I have, is it 6 published books now? I have 6 published books. I'm a children's author, so that's kind of like my first baby. Started off with the series called TJ's Lessons, which was made in the likeness of our son, actually.
Mhm.
And then, so I have 4 books published from that series so far, and a new one on its way. And then I also have a very exciting fantasy series called Pocketbook Diaries. There's been 2 books published out of that series. And so it's been exciting, delving into a different world because I was doing the children's book first. And so the novel was definitely a more challenging project. So just I remember the first day I completed the first novel and how exciting it was. And so once I put out the second one, I was like, all right, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. So yep, so that's what I am. I'm an author. I'm also a motivational speaker. I like to work with children. I like to use my children's series as a behavioral therapy tool with children and encouraging good behavior. So yeah, that's basically the sum of what I'm doing these days.
Okay. So in this interview, we are going to focus more so on your writing
Okay.
and you being an author. But what I do here at the Rorschach Test podcast, I put up a series of pictures
Right.
of Rorschach tests or ink blots, and I ask you what it is that you see, and based off of what you see, I link it to your passion. But I try to I try to peel back layers. I want to try to figure out why you are where you are. So we're going
Right.
to go back to childhood.
Okay.
We're going to look at this from a psychological and from an emotional standpoint
Okay.
and just
It
start
sounds
connecting all
deep.
the dots. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So, what we're going to start with is this picture right here. So, with this picture, you told me you saw a scorpion walking through a cloud of dust.
Right.
Okay.
That's what
Um,
I see there.
all right, we're just gonna leave it there a couple more minutes so everybody can see. One of the things that I love about this show is, people they look at the pictures and then they start to chime in the comments about what it is that they see. And I love that everybody sees things differently.
Right.
It's just, that's one of the most exciting things about this is just knowing that everybody is looking, it's just the way of the world. Everybody is looking at the same thing and then seeing completely different things. And the freedom of thought and the
Right.
freedom of feeling, is important. It's
Super
important.
important.
Yeah, and I just feel like that I'm able to highlight these things, which I absolutely love. But okay, I'm going to put this picture up again. Remind
Okay.
everybody, you saw a scorpion walking through a cloud of dust. All right, so let's start with that scorpion. Okay,
Okay.
so scorpions, they have the ability when food is scarce, they
Hmm.
have the ability to slow down their metabolism.
Okay. I want to
And
speed mine up though. I
would you say?
said I want to speed mine up though. Like, wait. Okay. All right, but go ahead.
but but in doing so, what they're doing, that's something that they're basically doing out of necessity.
Okay.
Okay, so but they're making an adjustment out of necessity. So
Hmm.
that's what I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about you having to adjust out of necessity. So have you found yourself making necessary adjustments that have affected your creativity?
Absolutely. Yes. When I'm making adjustments, this always affects my creativity. Like some people, I'm really weird in that way because a lot of people that I know that write say that they write their best when they're going through like difficulties or challenging times or you know what I mean, a
Mhm.
lot going on in their life or whatever. I'm actually almost the opposite in some ways these days because when I was younger, that was the case for me. But when I got into my adulthood, when I'm under, challenging times or whatever, it affects my writing. I don't feel as creative during those times is when I'm in a time of like calm and peace and organization. So
Really? Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah, I completely understand. As you know, creating from a place of chaos.
Right.
you
Right.
know, I spent many nights in the studio just creating songs from a place of chaos.
Right.
So But I get it, and but that's one of the things that I've always admired about, well, back when I was actively rapping anyway. That's one of the things that I admired about people, because a lot of times I was not even able to create unless there was chaos.
Right. And then I think that's when the talent comes in, right? So
Yeah.
I believe I'm talented, but I also do believe that God has given me a gift when it
Hmm.
comes to writing.
Right.
And I can feel the difference when I'm creating from my gift and when I'm creating from my talent. I don't know if you understand what I mean when I say
I,
that,
I hear you
but
100%.
like I literally can feel the difference and I can see it in it's in my work that I produce. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And so discipline is going to make us be able to still write even when we're not feeling the height of creativity that we feel in different moments.
Mhm.
That discipline comes in, and then you're able to still, produce something that's good and that's great because of your talent.
Right.
But there are times when I'm producing something just sheerly off of my gift, and I'm like, and it's just pouring from me, and I'm like, this is amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. So as a writer, you have to write in all those scenarios because you have deadlines, you have all these different things that you have to come up against, and so, but definitely, I feel the strain on my creativity when I'm having to adjust my
Mhm.
life circumstances. So,
Got you. Okay. All right. So the other thing about scorpions are they are venomous.
oh,
Venom is toxic. Okay.
okay.
Venom is toxic. So, and it causes pain. Okay.
Okay.
So, have you ever used your creativity as a defense? Oh, the other thing about that venom and that toxic venom, it's a defense mechanism.
Okay.
But it's not like they just running around just stinging. Like
Right.
it's a defense mechanism for them. So, have you ever used your creativity as a defense mechanism or to create your way out of a toxic situation? And you better not say nothing about me.
You know what? Out of a toxic situation. I mean, definitely, I will say this. I use my creativity. I definitely use my creativity to my advantage to gain what I'm trying to gain. If, I'm trying to like get my way, get something that I don't, that I, maybe I'm not coming easily by. I'll
Mhm.
definitely use the advantage of my creativity and my way with words and things like that for sure. But as far as using it as a defense mechanism, I'm trying to think. You know what? I've been told, I don't know if this would apply, but I've been told that, like, I've been accused, I guess I should say,
Oh, it's
in,
about to get good. All
in
right.
relationships of the person feeling like I'm using my words to kind of maneuver my way through a disagreement. You know what I mean? Like I've been accused of like putting the right words together. You like I know how to put the right words together to get my point across or to win that disagreement or whatever. So I have been accused of that. So I don't know if that kind of goes along the lines of what you're saying.
So,
It's definitely not true though, but
have you been, have you, so are you saying that you are accused of using your words, being able to paint a pretty picture of you
right.
attacking somebody?
Right. Like I can say what I want to say, but I can say it in a way that, you know what I mean? It's almost like because I know how to put things get together better, maybe than
Mhm.
someone else, I'm coming with that stinger, but I know how to come in a way that's not that that the person can't walk away being like, you're attacking me because
Mhm.
I'm coming at it in a different way because I'm able to use my words in a way that it doesn't feel as harsh. But the inward, but the outward meaning is still the same. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Okay. But but as far as what they walk away from, how they feel, what they
Correct.
walk away with this is they feel as though, do you are you saying that they feel as though they have been attacked, but they can't quite pinpoint the attack because of how beautiful you put the attack?
Right. Or even that I've somehow got them to a yes just by the way that I've put something together. You
Got
know what I
you.
mean?
Got you. Okay.
Like I'm good, like you're good with your words.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I'm finished, you'd have talked me into something,
Okay.
talking to you. You know what I mean?
Okay. So now let's translate that to your creativity. Have you
Okay.
ever taken those moments and turned it into a poem or a song or a book? You know, I mean, we didn't talk about your poetry and your
Yeah, I
songs.
write poetry
You have,
too.
yeah,
That's
right.
my
And
first
you've written
love.
songs. Yeah, right.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And you've written songs for R&B artists. You've written hooks for me when I was rapping. So I
Right.
mean,
Right.
but so you but have you been able to take those type of beautiful attacks and translate them into poetry?
Absolutely. I got some good ones. I got some good ones. Right. Right. You probably heard a couple of them.
Yeah, probably, probably. I was
But
probably
yes.
on the receiving end of a couple of them.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Especially because when I was younger, I was creating that way. Like
Right.
it's funny how it flipped in my adulthood. I still haven't figured out why. Like it's something that I've recently thought about. So it's kind of funny that we talked about it, but I've
Mhm.
recently tried to figure out like, why is that different? Because when I was younger, I used to write, in like moments of like chaos, like you said. That was when I produced my best work. I
Mhm.
don't know if it's because as you get older, you be done with that chaos. Like, you know what? So it's, maybe when you're younger, it's fueling you, the chaos or whatever. But when you get older, you just be like, I just want to chill. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want I just, what makes me feel good and creative is this nice, relaxing day.
I
So
think
maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
I think as we live and grow and experience and mature, that
Right.
we have all of these different experiences to choose from. And then at a certain age, we're able to look back and say, okay, how did this one make me feel? How did this one make me feel? What was the
Right.
end result from this one? And then we decide, you know what? All of that stuff that was chaos that seemed to be exciting at a certain point, in
Right.
comparison to this moment of peace,
Right.
this
Right.
is what I want now. I don't want that chaos anymore. I want that moment of peace. But we are going to revisit your childhood and the way you used to create. Just
Okay.
not quite yet, but we're coming there though.
Okay.
The next question that I have for you, I feel as though you've already answered. I was going to ask you if you're able to write in the midst of pain, because what you said you saw a scorpion walking through a cloud of dust. So I was going to deal with that cloud of dust, and I was going to ask, well, that pain and that dust, the scorpion being the thing that causes the pain, and then the dust. I was going to ask you if you're able to create in the midst of pain, or if you have to wait until the dust settles.
So interesting. So, yes, I have in the past been able to write in the midst of pain. But
Mhm.
again, that has changed. And I think that I've kind of started to figure out why with that answer specifically. I think that a lot of times when I would write, I write for like closure.
Mhm.
And I think that when you said like the dust, do you have to wait till the dust settles? I think that sometimes I'm not writing because I'm not ready for that dust to settle. Like I'm still walking through it by choice. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so because of that, I cannot create in the same way because I think that some level of creations that I do symbolizes finalization. And so I think therefore, I think because of that, like I'm not writing sometimes about pain that I'm dealing with because it's final. It's me putting finality on it. And I think that I'm still trying to let the story play out because I'm not ready for the finality. You know what I mean? And maybe that's the writer in me. You know what I mean? I'm trying to still write my own story, and you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
and sometimes life writes the story for us. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
it is what it is. So I do think that that is, yes, that's something that I am able to do, but I think sometimes I don't do it because I'm still trying to let that story play out. I'm still trying to figure out what that poem is going to be. I'm still trying to figure out what that piece is going to be. And a lot of times when I write something, I already know how it's going to end.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Got you. Got you. Okay. So it's different when you start dealing with real life situations because you
Right.
you don't know how it's going to end.
You don't know how it's going to end. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yes.
So yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it's different. As we, like you said, as we mature, our writing matures too, and our creativity and the way in our what I want to say, our process.
Hmm.
Our process matures with us as we mature. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so I think there was a time, right, that you didn't. I don't know if you're still like this, but I don't think so. But you used to not write down anything.
I still don't write. The only thing I write is my books. That's it, because I have
Okay,
to write books. But in
right.
everything else, I don't. I don't write. Like, my
Older
lyrics.
age ain't older age. That's not getting to you. That's not getting you at in older age.
Well, I don't
Your
rap as much
memory
as I
ain't
used
like
to. I don't rap as much as I used to, though.
right. Okay, okay, that makes sense.
So
That makes
I
sense.
don't have as many lyrics to try to remember anymore. But yeah, like, and actually, well, when I was doing my motivational speaking events, I didn't write those.
Okay,
Um, but of course, I have to write books. Any type of script that I may have been working on with this murder mystery that I put together. Of course, I have to write that because I have a team. I got to give them scripts. So there are certain things where I do have to sit down and write. But
right.
for the most part, you know what? Perfect. Even this podcast, and the other podcasts I do, I have notes. I do have
Okay.
notes because, yo, did you say old age?
I think it's that older. I think it's that older age.
Older. Okay, not old. Older. Okay, got you. Okay, because I was going to remind you who's older between us. All right.
Yeah,
So,
by a whole 11 months.
so, okay. So, next picture. Next picture.
Oh,
In this picture, you say you saw two mythical creatures standing guard with spears in their hands,
yep. That's that old imagination.
which is so funny because the first question that I have is I want to talk about childhood. Okay.
Right.
Tell me about your imagination when you were a child.
Okay, so my entire imagination can be attributed to my dad, hands down, no doubt. He encouraged our imaginations from the time we were very young because he was such an imaginative person. Like he was just, oh my goodness. He used to, even our storytelling, like writing, it all really kind of stems from, I would say, him. Because when we were younger, we grew up, first of all, we grew up, with meager means. Okay. And when I got, I think I was about 23. I think I was about 23 years old. And for some reason I needed to look at my birth certificate. And I was looking at my birth certificate. And for the first time ever, I paid it because I've seen my birth certificate many times before that. But for the first time ever, I paid attention to my mother's age on it. And I'm the youngest of five. And my mom's age on my birth certificate is 22.
Hmm.
So that is super young. I'm like, at 22, I had one kid. They had five. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so it made so much sense at that point to me, like why we struggled. Like they were kids raising five. It's a lot of kids. You know what I mean? To have
Right.
at such a young age. And my dad's only 2 years older than my mom, so he wasn't not like his age was far in front of hers.
Right.
And so we struggled a lot as kids. And so therefore, my dad used to always like take us into these times of like dreaming what we would have. Like we would go into neighborhoods and like with big houses, and
Mhm.
he would go, "There's your house," and he'd be like, he'll point to the upstairs, like, "JB, your room's right there. Lorraine, your room's gonna be right over there on that side." And we're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put a pool in the backyard," and you know what I mean. And literally, like he started up the imagination from the time we were so young, and we were always dreaming, like talking about stuff that we were gonna do. And then he used to tell us stories in the car, long car rides home, from church on long Sundays, and he'll tell us these stories. And so, yeah, as a kid, that started that part of me that was able to just imagine something out of nothing, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah.
Very
And,
young.
and I think it's important to highlight that your father is a bishop. So you said after
Right.
church. So he would have been in the pulpit just speaking the entire time and got in the car and started talking more. He didn't get tired of talking and sharing and imparting
Right.
that wisdom.
Exactly. Exactly. He was able to create something all the time. He always, had something, creative to say, even in the pulpit.
Right, right. Yes, I have heard many stories from you and all your siblings
Right.
of some really interesting things that he would say. You
With
know,
his
like
voice, because we always have to do the
with the
voice.
voice. You all use the voice. You
We all
all
do
use the
the
voice.
voice.
So, okay, well, tell me this though. As a child, were you ever in any certain situations where were there ever situations where you felt as though you needed to create your way out of it? And I'm going back to I'm still talking about your imagination here because
Right.
I'm dealing with this whole mythical creatures thing. You have mythicism in your newer books, right? In
Correct.
right in Pocketbook Diaries, right?
Right.
Your new series, Pocketbook Diaries. So it's a lot of mythicism, but I just want to know where that mythicism began. Um, and when you said that you saw these two mythical creatures in here, I was like, okay, it really made me want to know where your mind was going when you were a child. So,
Right.
did you feel as though was there a certain degree of mythicism in your creations, in your mental creations as a child, and were you doing it to try to escape anything?
Absolutely. Yes. So I used to literally just create worlds, you know what I mean, in my mind, just being somewhere different. And definitely it came from trying to escape different tragedies that I faced as a child, and just even escaping our circumstances as kids. Don't get me wrong, like I grew up in a very, very loving home. Love was not missing. But when you're a kid, and we were weird, like we were in a neighborhood that was kind of thrown into a upper middle class area, like, but it was like a lower income neighborhood. And so like the people who we went to school with, their parents had money, you know what I mean? And
Mhm,
so therefore, it's highlighted when you're the kid getting the free lunch, or when you're the kid who, parents can't afford the field trip, you know what I mean, and the school has to fund the field trip, or all these different things. So when you're the kid who's not getting a birthday party, big birthday parties thrown, you know what I mean?
right.
Um, or even being invited to these birthday parties because you don't fit in quite as much, you know what I mean, as,
Mhm,
as the crowd that you grew up around. So definitely, there was definitely a lot of times that I would, create in my mind a scenario that, different places of being that, I felt like I would never get to go to, you know what I mean? So
mhm.
for sure.
Okay. So,
The big I hope it's everybody that did this and not just us, but going down 270, when you see that big white church,
mhm.
we
The
swore
Church
that
of
was
Latter-day
we
Saints.
yeah, we swore that was Disney World. Like we're like to us that was Disney World.
Every time I drove, listen, my father used to live in Bethesda,
Okay.
so he would come and pick me up, and we would hit 495, and we would, I would see that as I was seeing that, I, it was a castle,
Right.
but it was the castle at Disney World, like it
Right. It
was,
was a gas.
yeah.
And
So
every time we drove past this feeling of like this magical feeling would come over me, like, oh,
yes, yeah, yeah. Have you ever seen it up close?
I haven't. Have you?
Yeah, yeah, I went over there, but the funny thing is, I was
Now
an
I want to
adult.
do
Matter
it.
of fact, I took Terrell over there. That's how much of an adult I was. I took Terrell over there because they do at Christmas time. They decorate around there. So from 495, you can look through the trees and kind of see the decorations. So I said, I
Right.
want to see it. So I went over there and I took Terrell over there to see the lights, and I think he fell asleep. Whatever, little jerk.
Oh goodness.
Anyway, so he was small. He was
Oh,
tiny.
he's small. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was tiny. So, well, we went over there. We saw I was just, but it is amazing to look at up close.
Oh my, I got to do it now.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have to
it
go do
really is.
it.
It's a beautiful, beautiful building, beautiful church.
I
It
do
really
know
is.
that the tips on the peaks are real gold.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna tell you something else. From the distance, when you're looking at it, they look small. When you get
Right.
up close to
It's
it,
huge.
it is huge. Like
Oh
those,
my
I don't know
gosh.
how many feet just the tip is, but that thing is huge.
Oh my gosh. I gotta go see that. I never
Yeah.
even thought. I don't know why I've never thought to like go see that like up close. I don't know why.
Yeah, like it's amazing. It really is amazing. And then it's cool to go over there around Christmas time too when they decorate. So
Okay.
yeah,
Cool.
yep.
Cool.
So
Field
all
trip.
right. the other you so you said the two mythical creatures, they're standing with spears. They're like standing guard.
Standing guard, yeah.
Yes, and they have spears in their hands, so they're guarding something. Okay, so still dealing with childhood. Did you feel so they look like they're protecting something in your minds? What you see, right?
Right.
So did you feel protected as a little girl? And if you didn't feel protected, was your way of like when you were imagining these places, was that way of you protecting yourself?
Right. I definitely felt protected as a kid. Like I've had brothers that were pretty tough, and I had a dad that made us feel very protected.
Before you go any further, I just wanted to say I asked that question for everybody else. I already knew the answer to that question. Like I said, you
Right.
got brothers, you got a sister who was going to fight just like your brothers, and and your
She was a good
father.
one, actually, believe it or
Oh,
not.
what'd you say
She was the good one.
back then?
Yes.
Oh,
She's still
what
the
happened?
good one. She's still
Really?
the good one.
Eh,
Yes.
yeah, no, no, no. Yes, you're
She
absolutely
just
right.
picks on you.
Yes, exactly. That's what it is. And I
She
deserve
bullies you. That's it.
I deserve it. but so I already knew the answer to that question.
Okay,
So, but
good.
I
Good.
wanted to still ask it though. But yes, go. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, I was just saying definitely yes. I've always felt um protected. It's why it's so important for me. Like I like for a male to be like in relationships that I was in, I needed to feel protected because of the
Mhm,
fact that I had that. You know what I mean? I had that what you're supposed to see. I saw it.
mhm.
So I knew what it looked like. You know what I mean? I always knew. So yeah, definitely I felt protected for sure.
Were there ever times where maybe they weren't around, or maybe let's say you were just in your room by yourself, and just little childhood fears would start to come over you or whatever, or maybe let's say that you even experienced something and you were in your room by yourself and you were thinking about whatever it was that you had experienced and you felt the need to feel protected, so you started to create as a way of protecting yourself.
Right. So, talking a little bit more on like in a personal level, but yeah, there was a time, a moment, when I was a child, and with so much with the world being very transparent and really trying to talk a lot about this, I don't feel as insecure to talk about this as I used to back in the day, and I talk about this more, just to bring awareness and to just let people know that they're not alone. But I was, when I was 13 years old, I actually was sexually assaulted outside. No one was around. My parents, my brothers, no one. And so I remember like the next day after that happened, and I did tell my parents right away. So they knew right away. But I remember the next day when because I had got home. And the next day I had walked out the front door and I walked to the end of the sidewalk in front of my house, and the world felt so big to me. Like that's the only way I can describe it. Like literally, it just felt like I was looking through a total different set of eyes. Everything felt different, and everything looked so big. And I think that was a point in my time where I felt a point in my life where I felt very unprotected. And I didn't feel safe with anyone, not even my dad, not my sibling. Like I didn't feel safe, period. But I do remember there's this one night in particular because I was having trouble, so I couldn't sleep a lot after this. It just, it was very like hard and everything that happened, you know what I mean? And so I couldn't sleep. I was having trouble sleeping, so I was up a lot. Like I was already not a person that slept well through the night, and I just made it worse. And so I remember this one particular night I couldn't sleep, and I had went into my dad's room. My mom used to work overnight at this time, so my dad was home, and my mom would be working this overnight shift. And so I woke him. I think he heard me. He heard me, like he was up and he heard me, and he had called me into the room. Why are you up? And I kind of explained to him. I had never told my dad that I was like terrified of him, terrified of everybody, like males, period. Like it did something to me. It just made me so afraid. And I never told him that though. I never shared it with him. You know what I mean? I was having nightmares. I never shared anything. It was honestly something I didn't want to talk about. Like I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to deal with it after it happened. I was just like, I don't even want to talk about this ever again. And so but it was like he knew, you know what I mean? Because you know your child and you know that they're acting a certain way.
Right.
And it was about 2 in the morning. And he said, go upstairs, get your clothes on, get your shoes on. We're going to take a walk. I'm like, we're going to take a walk? He's like, yes, go get your shoes and get your clothes on. We're going to take a walk. Tyrell, when I tell you I was terrified taking this walk, like I'm not kidding you, I was afraid to take this walk with him because it was the middle of the night. You know what I mean? No one was out there. I
Hmm.
was scared to go out there. I was scared. Like I was even scared to just be with him. It was weird, but that was the way it was just translating for me. Like I was just afraid of males after everything happened. And I'm that's terrible for a dad, you know, when you feel that fear coming from your daughter, who, you know, I've always been a daddy girl. You know this. I'm still a daddy's girl. You know that. So,
Yeah, very
but
much
he
so.
took me on this walk and we walked way down to this lake that was by our house. And it was a good little walk. It wasn't very far, but it was far enough.
Hmm.
And we went to this lake, which is like literally the most vulnerable place you can be in our neighborhood because you're just in the middle of the nowhere. You know, there's no houses directly around it. You know, if you scream or something, you're probably not going to be heard. You know what I mean? It's very, very dark over there. You know, not a lot of street lights illuminating the area or whatever. And we just talked on the walk. Like literally, we didn't even talk about anything specific. It was kind of just chatting. And we walked back. And when I got in the house, I understood why he took me on that walk.
Hmm.
Do you know why?
He was showing you. So this is just the way that I interpreted it. The way that as you were explaining it, in my mind, he was taking you into um, a place that would normally feel intimidating and scary, and showing you that you are still protected in the midst of all of this stuff.
Right. And more particularly with him,
Right.
that I went to this place with him and we made it back home safe.
Right.
It was his way of telling me, like, I'm still you're still safe with me.
Right.
I'm still, when you're with me, you're still protected. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And from that day forward, that feeling that I was feeling towards just anyone that was like close to me, who that was a male loved one who I didn't feel this way towards before. It just changed that feeling, you know what I mean? And renewed my faith and in him, which was important because there was nothing that he had ever did to drop it. You know what I mean? He was at that point he was paying for someone else's sins.
Right.
And so, but it just, when I got in, I just understood, like, you went out there and you made it back.
Hmm.
You made it back with him. You're still safe with him. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah. So that was the only time I think I felt like unprotected and felt, vulnerable and felt that feeling of like needing to be protected, but wasn't feeling like I was, even
Hmm.
though normally that was something that was exhibited. It was just a time that I didn't feel that way.
Right. Look, I know that this podcast is about you, but I want to take a moment to shift gears for 1 second to talk about not only your father but your family.
Okay.
Um, you that right there, it speaks volumes to the man that he is, the woman that he married,
Right.
and how they connect and fit so perfectly, and then the children that they had.
Right.
when
Yeah.
when I listen to the stories, or when I just listen to Bishop speak, or when I listen to your mother speak, well, I call her mom, so I'll just say
Right.
mom. When I listen to mom speak, they you hear the love, you hear the strength, you hear the passion, but you hear the resilience. And
Right.
then when I speak to your siblings, or throughout the years, is the relationship that I've been able to build with them, you can tell where all of that stuff came from: the love, the passion, the resilience, the strength. You can tell where it all came from. That sometimes it's like, you look at two people, and I'm talking about your parents here. Sometimes you look at two people and you can tell God was like, you know what? I'm going to take you, and I'm going to take you, and I'm going to make something incredible here, and
Literally.
yes, exactly. Now go procreate and create more incredible things. And
Literally.
that's just the sense of togetherness and family and strength and lovingness that
Right.
you receive and that you feel when you're around your family.
Right.
So yeah, I just wanted to just insert that really quickly because that picture that you painted just now of you and your father, I was imagining it all, and it's just it makes so much sense that he would do something like that because
Yeah.
that's just the man that he is,
Right.
So
Right. It
um,
is
and
amazing. It's something I always
yeah,
think about. I'd be like, that was so profound and it was something I needed
yeah,
so bad. And I didn't even have to vocalize it. Like he just knew,
hmm,
like,
yeah,
this is what she needs right now.
right,
Without me, I never expressed anything to him that I was feeling or anyone about how I was feeling about it because I was so shut down.
right, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, so yeah,
absolutely,
definitely, definitely. You know what's crazy? Just a real quick shift for a second to you for a second.
hmm,
When you grow up with a dad that instilled the type of things that like my dad instilled in us,
hmm,
you have such a hope that your kids are going to be able to partake of that. You know what I mean? And
hmm,
so like I am so lucky because, I got, you know, you as a figure is like great because you understand that importance of what it means to be there. You know what I mean?
hmm,
And you had a dad that was there, so you get it. You know what I mean? You understand, like, that the foundation that's built in the person that you are from the way your father is to you.
hmm.
It's just something that you just can't even explain. Not to take away from my mother, because she definitely, I am definitely Minnie Grace.
Yes, you are.
Now I got Bishop too. Like that's soft side. But Grace is there. So, but yeah, so no, so definitely, definitely, it's like that's something that I appreciate, and like we were talking about earlier, just so happy that you have our dynamic, like even with me and Fonda, because can you imagine if Fonda wasn't who she was, and then man, it's so much better and easy to co-parent and raise kids together in a blended situation
Hmm.
when everyone's on board, when
Right,
everyone cares about everyone, right?
right.
It's
Hmm,
not just as simple as yes, it's awesome when you care about my child, but
hmm.
when you care about me too, it gives it a whole nother different dynamic. I care about you too. That's a different dynamic and it fosters something greater than just this is my person's child, so I care about them, but I can, I ain't got nothing to do with that other person. You know what
Right,
I mean? It's
exactly.
different. It just makes it a more loving and more nurturing environment that you can take it to a different level. So yeah.
Right. And I think what's also very important is that the three of us, me, you, and Fonda, we all will make fun of the kids together.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, yes, we will pick on
And
them.
pass them off to each other when they're,
Yeah,
when they do something crazy. That's y'all kid. That's
yeah,
you and
yeah,
Fonda.
that's not, no, wash my hands. That's yours. That's you and Fonda's kid that did that.
Right, right. I'm like, no, I'm like, that's Tyrell and Fonda kid that did that.
And the funny thing is, we do that with the kids that aren't biologically
Right.
mine.
We'll do it with either one, right? Or we'll pass them off to, we'll pass them off for Tony or David too. Like, that
Exactly.
Tony.
Yeah, that's their father and my wife. We can put it on my wife. That's
Right.
their kid.
Exactly. Nope. That's Fonda kid. Tell Fonda come and get her kid.
Right.
Right, right. So exactly, there's humor. We have humor, and and those are different things that I think makes it work. But I know we done got off of your off track, so
Yeah, I gotta
sorry.
remember we're doing a podcast.
Right, we are doing a podcast, right?
Okay, so the next thing that you said you saw, so right here, you said you saw
Right.
a bear and two winged animals flying on each side.
I'm so
I-
weird.
Yo, I don't. Well, number one, yes, you're very weird,
I know.
but
Whatever.
but I remember when you told me everything that you said, you apologized and you said, I'm
I was
sorry,
like,
that's what I see. And I was like, yo, you wouldn't have believed some of the things that people have said that they've seen.
oh, really?
Um,
Okay. I don't feel
yeah,
bad about
like, yeah, it is crazy. You wouldn't believe some of the things that I've seen. Like I used to, when I would put the pictures up, I would also share what I saw too. But
it. Oh, okay.
I was like, some of the things I'm seeing, like, first of all, it's not about me. I'm not interviewing me. I'm interviewing you. So it's about what you see. But some of the stuff I was seeing, I was just like, this is,
Why am I saying that?
yeah, like this is really, really off and inappropriate. So I'm going to leave me out of this. So,
Right.
but I'm going to put the picture up one more time. So you said you saw a bear in the middle and then two winged animals flying on each side. So what I want to do is I want to start with the bear first. Okay.
Okay.
So bears hibernate.
Okay.
I want to talk about dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you dream often?
Yeah, I would say I dream often.
Okay. So, do you believe that your creativity manifests itself in your dreams?
Definitely. There's like dreams that I have that are behind some books that I've written,
Hmm.
pocketbook diaries for one. You know what I mean? Like I got the idea. I had the idea of pocketbook diaries from something my niece said, but I got the foundation of pocketbook diaries from a dream that I had.
Hmm.
And it pulled it all together. And I literally woke up from that dream and started writing it.
Wow.
Yeah, literally all of it. Like I dreamt about everything, like the world, how what the world was, what the whole foundation of the world was, everything. So,
Hmm.
and I just recently, which I can't share, had a dream of an idea that is amazing that I
Okay.
can't share. But yeah,
Okay.
so for sure,
Okay.
get
Well,
some
I
good
can't
stuff
wait
from
to
dreams.
can't wait to see what that turns into.
Right, right.
um, okay, so now let's move on. I'm gonna put this picture up one more time so people can see. So you said the two things on the side, they look like two winged animals. So
Mhm.
the way I interpreted what you said, two winged animals, you did not say birds. I feel like if they were birds or if they were animals that normally fly, which outside of birds, I don't know what else flies. But anyway, um
I write too many fantasy books.
right. So, but the
Right,
way I interpreted that is they are animals that you wouldn't normally see flying. Now,
right,
making this connection to being an author or just being a creator in general. It's when you see somebody who is becoming successful when they're flying, they reach these heights, right?
right. Cool.
It's rare. If you think of the number of creators, regardless of the of whatever it is,
Hmm.
writing, acting, art, music, whatever it is, the numbers are small as far
Right.
as the people who actually
Actually
make
make
it.
it.
Exactly.
Hmm. Very small.
So it's rare, the way it's rare to see a winged animal, right?
Right.
Flying, right? But I want to deal with that flying and that rarity. Okay.
Okay.
So now we're talking about trying to reach a certain level of success, that rare level of success. And I guess ascending to that height, right?
Right.
In order to fly, in order to successfully fly, you have to control direction,
Right.
speed, and height.
Okay.
So I want to talk about all three of those things. So first we're going to talk about direction. So what gives you direction?
Hmm. Um. It's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked this question ever in my life. What gives me direction?
You've been asked some of these other questions.
Some of them, believe it or not, I have been asked some of these questions. Not in that same way in the context that you're
Right,
right now, but
right,
so
right.
I think what gives me direction is like believing that I do have a purpose, and also I would say my kids give me direction
Hmm.
for sure. That's how to answer that.
Yeah,
That's good enough
yeah.
answer.
Look, I knew you were going to say those little monsters. Um,
Definitely. They definitely give me direction because there are times where I'm like, I want to go left, but I'll be like, no, I need to keep going straight because or I might want to just stop where I'm at. You know what I mean? I'm
uh,
like, nope, I need to keep moving forward because I got some people who need me to keep moving forward.
right.
So they would definitely be my biggest direction. I get most of my direction, I get it from them for sure.
Got you.
You know.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about speed.
Okay.
So when you were creating,
Mm-hmm.
as a creator, we constantly have thoughts and ideas just coming to our minds. And sometimes it's easy to want to jump from one creation to another, just because it's there and we want to act on it.
Right.
So, do you ever feel like you're speeding through your creation so that you can hurry up and get to the next one?
I used to, but not anymore because that's a discipline that I acquired over the years. But yes,
Okay.
I used to be everywhere. And the problem with that is when you're giving your attention to so many different things,
Hmm.
you can't focus or give the one it's going every part is going to be lacking. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Because you're not giving 100% to anything. So
Hmm.
nothing's going to be 100%. So
Right.
multitasking is one thing, but literally jumping from place to place or speeding through it, as you said, that's not giving your full attention to the project that you're at. I'm in sales, and one a long time ago, a manager that I had used to say, "Love the one you're with,"
Hmm.
because sometimes we would go into houses. So, because I was going into houses at some point doing sales, and you had a schedule. And my schedule used to be like, I'll have a 10 o'clock in the morning, then sometimes I will have a 2, and then you'll have like a 6, right?
Hmm.
But there were times, literally, I'm not kidding, where I'm in a 10 and it's 1 o'clock and I'm still in that 10.
Hmm.
And so, but so he would say, don't worry about that. Love the one you're with. What he meant was keep spending time with that client that you're with, because you spent this much time, you have put this much time in it. Don't cut yourself short, and then you cut yourself short from the positive result, right? So you
Hmm.
can't go in saying, okay, well, I got 2 hours to convince them to do what they need to do because it's going to take me an hour to drive to my next appointment. No,
Hmm.
you go in saying, I got whatever amount of time it's going to take me to convince them
Hmm.
before I move on to the next thing, because they might need 3 hours, they might need 4 hours. But if you go in with that 2 hour mindset, right, speeding through it, then you're not going to get that positive result because you move too quickly, right? So
Right.
he would say, love the one you're with. And that's a good way to think about anything you're doing as far as projects and creating and stuff like that. You need to love the one you're with. Even if you have another project in mind,
Hmm.
it'll be there when it's time for it to get when it's time for you to get to it. But you got to focus on the one that you're with and love that one for the moment so it can produce what it's supposed to produce. You know what I mean?
Right. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect. And I probably needed to hear that years ago.
Oh, right? Exactly. I did too. There was a bunch of times. Like I said, I learned that. Oh, that was a discipline that I came to.
Right. Exactly. Yep. So, okay. So now let's talk about height. Okay.
Yours are mine.
What'd you say? You said yours. Oh, you got jokes. Oh,
Sorry, I
yeah.
couldn't resist. Oh, you mean okay? Let's go. Oh, my bad.
Okay. That's good. That was good. Yeah. So, all right, everybody. We're coming to the end of this podcast brought by any of her books. So, okay. So let's talk about heights.
Yes, let's talk about.
So, do you believe that writing is a
Mhm.
glass ceiling where you can see the top, but you can't reach the top? And if so, what is that glass ceiling that is preventing you from reaching the height that you want to reach?
Yes, me. I'm the reason that I have not broke completely through the glass ceiling, in the way that I know that I can,
Hmm.
because I have to. Going back to what we talked about earlier, right? It's because I have to overcome not, stopping or being slowed down when I'm in that moment of how'd you word it? You worded it as when you're having to adjust. I like that, instead of saying like, you're going through hard times, when you're in a period of adjustment. I like that.
Hmm.
When I'm in a period of adjustment, it's about me just disciplining myself to not lose my focus so that I can keep moving towards that ceiling till I break through it. So yeah,
Right.
that's what I would say for sure.
Okay.
For sure. And that is not to take away from the successes that I have had, but we're talking about breaking through that ceiling. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And when I really think back to why haven't I broke through that glass ceiling yet?
Hmm. Do
It's
you have an
me.
answer? But do you have a more specific answer that you are willing to share?
Um, I would just say sometimes was it Paul in the Bible that they say Paul was a man acquainted with grief.
Hmm.
My mom kind of says that about me from the time I was a young kid. You know what I mean? Like I just literally, I'm not kidding, man. Like I've just had so many crazy things and just trials and tribulations that has happened over the course of my life. And some of them have just really knocked me off my feet. You know what I mean? It just knocked me off my feet to the point where I just kind of stood still. Right. And then when I would keep, and like we were talking about just a little while ago, is that what keeps me moving is that, like I said, kids, they give me direction, and then I'll start moving again. Right. But if I really think about the fact that, let's say when all that stuff happened, instead of turning, if I took that, and some people, you know how they'll bury themselves in their work when they're going through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If I maybe did that approach instead, right? And I'm not saying do that and not deal with what you're going through. You know, you can do both. I think that I'm my own, you know, I'm stopping myself from getting where I need to be, you know what I mean? And getting to like I said, breaking that glass ceiling, breaking through that glass ceiling, breaking all the way through it.
Got you. Okay. So my next question was going to be, if there is a glass ceiling, what are your plans to break through the glass ceiling?
So my plans to break through that glass ceiling going forward is about disciplining myself to remember, no matter what to pushing through, no matter what comes up, remembering that I have to keep moving because there is a purpose that I have, you know what I mean? And I need to fulfill that purpose. And I can't keep letting what's going on around me keep me from getting where I'm supposed to get. So that will be just my goal. My goal is just in the next 12 months, you know, because I have, you know, I always try to give myself a timeline to get where I need to get. And there's some things that I'm working on that I think is going to help me get there. But obviously finishing the third book in the Pocketbook Diary series. A lot of times once you have a trilogy in your hand, first of all, and fantasy is just huge. I mean, the fantasy world is amazing. And the amount of readers and just the feedback that I've already gotten from Pocketbook Diaries is amazing. So discipline myself first to finish the third book in the series by the end of summer. Right. And then I'll have a trilogy. And once you have the 3 books, it really does open up a lot of doors because people start looking at it in a different way than when you're at 2 versus 3. I know it sounds silly, but it's just true. And then also I plan on getting back out there again with TJ's lessons and start to do more in-person visits and in-person author visits and just, kind of putting ourselves more out there. TJ's lessons was self-published through my brother's media group. And so that's kind of like I said, my first baby. And so just getting out there more, putting myself in more positions because we get asked to be places all the time. I'm supposed to be somewhere today, actually, but I couldn't because, you know, one of them kids got COVID. So, yeah. That messed that up, but, you know. So we're putting ourselves back out there and you know, and as you know, TJ's, you know, our son is my spokesperson, and it's also a great opportunity for him too. So yeah, so that's Dakota just came in here. The dog.
Yeah, I realized that when you looked over, I was like, that must be Dakota.
I was confused for a second because she was outside. So I was like, did she just let herself in? Anyway, that was confusing for a second. But
Dakota
yeah, so
is the dog, by the way, everybody.
What'd you say? Oh yeah, Dakota's the dog. Yeah. We didn't have one of the kids outside.
Right.
Locked out. But yeah, so that's definitely how I just, you know, setting goals, because I do well with deadlines, setting my own deadlines, you know, of, you know, what I want to do with first step is because I just finished another TJ's Lessons book. So for right now, that book isn't even out yet. So I'm putting TJ's Lessons to the side and letting it, you know, do its own thing right now because it already has, you know, 5 books already created in the series, and the series is circulating well. So right now, my next step is going to be to get that 3rd book finished in Pocketbook Diary so that I can get it the exposure that it needs as a trilogy. And yeah, and go from there. That's my goal of getting through that glass ceiling with both series.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds great. Okay. So now we're going to shift gears. We're going to get away from the pictures. I have a couple of games that I play with my guests. I want to play a game with you called Probably Not, But What If?
Okay.
All right. So before we even get into the game, you are a huge Selena fan. Huge Selena fan. Selena is the greatest thing on earth as far as you're concerned.
She is the greatest thing. Well, She's not on Earth technically, but
Well,
you know
yeah,
what I mean. I know
yeah,
what you mean.
yes, yes. And so, but so I got a question for you. Okay, now
Right.
would this happen? Probably not. But what if you were given the opportunity to be a New York Times bestseller, but you had to burn all of your Selena paraphernalia? Would you do
What kind of question is
it?
this? Is a mean question. Oh my
All right.
gosh. No, because I can be a top author without being a New York Times bestseller.
Well, you love you some Selena, don't you?
I mean, some of the stuff I have, they're not even making it anymore. So that's like, that's just so wrong. That's such a mean question.
I know it was. That was
That
pretty
was a
mean.
very mean
I
question.
know. I
But
know.
no, I would not. I would, that's just wrong. No. I'd have to find my fame without the New York best-selling authors list.
All right. All right. So I got another question for you.
Okay.
You're a huge Big Brother fan.
Yes.
Not Big Brother, not the eye in the sky, the person that's watching us at all times. We're talking about the
CBS's Big Brother.
yes, yeah, the television show. Yeah, CBS, because even their symbol is an eye. That's
Right, right,
Big Brother.
right.
That's that eye that's watched. So whatever. I'm not gonna get into my conspiracy theories. But anyway, but the television show Big Brother, you were a huge, huge fan of Big Brother. Okay.
Right.
All right. Now, would this happen? Probably not. But what if you were given the opportunity to be a New York Times bestseller, but you are the reason that Big Brother gets canceled and everybody knows it?
Yeah, I would cancel Big Brother.
Oh, you Big Brother's
Yeah,
out of here.
Big Brother's out of here.
I look,
Big Brother doesn't match up to Selena.
right. Well, look, the funny thing is I kind of had a feeling I knew the answer to both of those questions, but
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, buy
And
Big
I was
Brother.
right. I was right on both of them. So
And here's the secret: I actually didn't watch last season, so it made it much easier for me to say no to that. I did not watch the last season, so yeah, I was pretty. It's kind of a little bit out of my mind right now. It's first season I didn't watch.
yeah. Okay, so I was about to end, but I do have one question that I do want to ask you.
Okay. Oh
When you were
God,
pregnant,
what's this about to be? Oh no, this is already about to go left. This is about to go left.
when you were pregnant
Uh-huh.
with Tyrell, with our child,
Right.
and you were on bed rest,
Right.
and it was during the Scott and Lacey Peterson trial, and
Oh
all you did
Lord.
was sit there
I
and
knew this
watch
was gonna
that
go left.
trial. All you did was
Okay.
watch that all day long.
The Scott and Lacey Peterson trial. Yes.
Right. For those of you all who are not familiar with that, he killed her husband. Scott Peterson was the husband. He killed Lacey
Yeah.
Peterson.
And she was
Um,
pregnant.
and she was pregnant. And you started thinking that I was going to kill you. Did you really think I was going to kill you?
Listen, I have a crazy imagination, and I was a pregnant woman with hormones. It probably wasn't a good. Why did you let me watch that? You are a terrible,
I was
terrible
at
person.
work.
You
I
should
was
have
at
told
work.
me to turn that off.
I was working.
That was the worst thing for me to be watching while I was pregnant. Like that was terrible. And yes, I 100% in my mind convinced myself that you were going to have some conspiracy to kill me. Yes.
And my
And then I
response,
came to my senses. It was short lived. It lasted for like a week, about a week,
right.
week and a half.
Well, well, and my response when she brought this to me, everybody, was, if I haven't killed you by now, you're probably okay.
You know what? Whatever.
All right, look, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up.
Apparently, the best way to prevent a murder is to ask the person if they're going to murder you.
Right.
I'm still here. So it worked out okay.
Yo, I could not believe you. I was like, you know what?
You shouldn't have let me watch that. I was hormonal.
Yeah, but I was at work. I couldn't stop you.
I know. It was terrible. That was like that time that I watched that movie, The Orphan. Did you ever see that movie with the it's a grown woman, like, but she pretends like she's a daughter. I mean, she pretends like she's a little girl, but she's not really a little girl.
Hmm.
She's a grown woman who has like dressed herself up like a little girl. It's kind of like I guess it's kind of a horror film. You've
Hmm.
never seen it?
Mm-mm.
But I only watched it because Bernetta told me to watch it because she said a reminder of Alyssa. After I watched that movie, I locked my door that day. My imagination is too big. Like, I don't need to be watching certain stuff. I was like, wait.
Oh my God.
Alyssa was like 5 when that happened. So yeah.
And you thought the 5-year-old was just gonna come kill you?
You didn't see this movie. Like, that kid did look like Alyssa. I was
My poor
like,
baby. My
she
poor
was
baby.
mad at me earlier today. Let me like the story.
My poor baby would never do that to anybody. So
She would never, and you would never, but it's me. So it's a reason why I'm a good writer.
right.
It has to come from somewhere.
Yeah, and I think one of the beauties of being a writer is to write things. When you are a creator, period, you have to create in a space where everybody is creating, but you have to figure out how to stand out.
Exactly.
You have to think differently in the midst of a bunch of different thinkers. And in
Definitely.
in a pool full of just creators, people coming up with all kind of awesome ideas, and you got to figure out how to out awesome everybody else. um
True.
but that goes back to what you said earlier, between the gift and the talent.
Correct.
And
Yep.
when you have that
Hmm.
gift, I'm telling you, it's different. It's a lot different. So, but okay, we're gonna go ahead and end the podcast. But before we do, I want you to let everybody know everything that you have going on and all the ways that they can get in contact with you.
Okay. So if you're interested in my children's series, and you should be if you're a parent, especially with elementary school students, TJ's Lessons is the name of here, some of the books from the series. So we have A Lesson in Listening. The newest book is Crayons Are for Paper. You want to grab that at tjslessons.com.
Actually, hold the books up again and bring them a little bit closer to the screen. Okay.
Yep. So you got A Lesson in Listening. It Pays to Be Nice. Justin the Incredible. These are the books that are out currently in the series, and you can get those at tjslessons.com. And in honor of the podcast, we're going to do 33% off. So if you log on, we'll do a discount we're going to do this through the rest of the month. So log in, you'll be able to get our series with the discount. It comes with 2 TJ's Lessons bookmarks. Also, looking for a older read, this is your upper middle school to high school to adult. Like, the oldest person who wrote a review on this book, I think she said she was turning 99, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this is Pocketbook Diaries. This is book 1. And then this is book 2. Now, these are available anywhere, in stores, online, no matter where you get your books from, whether it's through Amazon, whether you go to Barnes and Noble, whether you get, Apple Books, whatever, it's available there. So you can literally get Pocketbook Diaries everywhere, and you'll love it. It's a great read. So that's what we got going on right now. So get your copies.
And how can they get in contact with you?
So if you want to, book me for anything, any events that you have, you want to send an email to lcrogersbooks@gmail.com. That's LCROGERS books, BOOKS @gmail.com.
Okay. So I have 2 more pictures that I want to put up real quick. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
What's this about to
So
be? I feel like set up.
and I meant to do this first one. I meant to do it earlier, but
Okay.
all right. What do you see here?
A butterfly.
All right. You know what's cool about this picture?
What?
You already looked at this picture and told me what you saw. This
Oh.
this is the one with the scorpion walking through the cloud of dust. All I did was turn it upside down, and then you see a butterfly.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yep.
Perspective.
Sometimes, yes, exactly. That's what life is about, perspective. Sometimes we may need to change the way we look at things to see something different.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So,
good.
Yes, yeah. So, okay. And one last picture before we get out of here. I want you to tell me exactly what it is that you see.
Okay. Mm. Elsie
And Lorraine,
Rogers.
don't play with me, all right? I want you to tell me exactly what it is that you see.
It says Elsie Rogers is so dope. It says this podcast is so dope.
And I couldn't agree more.
I can't stand you.
Look,
Goodbye.
thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the mother that you are, for the woman that you are, for the author, the creator, just everything about you. You have made my life, you have enhanced my life in so many ways.
Thank you.
And even
Same.
my wife, you have enhanced her life. You know, you just one of those people with whomever you come in contact with, you just enhance their lives. And we all are better people and blessed to have you in our lives.
I feel the
And
same way about you.
oh, thank you. Because I was about to say, I just shot myself in the foot for giving you a compliment in front of a bunch of people. Because, you know, for those of you that don't know, we just go back and forth. We bump
Yeah,
heads,
I was about to tell
in
you
a
that you've now
playful way.
used up your talking credits with me. So I'll talk to you next month.
Right, right. Yes. So all of the it's always constant playful banter between the two of
Right.
us. Um, I normally start the fights, but
Right.
but
Right.
they are playful fights. There's no arguing. Everything is so easy. It is so
Right.
easy. And I just appreciate that. And I appreciate you for making my life so easy.
I
So
appreciate
thank
you too. Definitely. All right.
you.
Congratulations. I'm so proud of you of this, by the way, too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Okay. All right, y'all. So make sure that you all go find her on Amazon, Apple,
Barnes and
Barnes and
Noble.
Nobles,
Mhm.
the website's tjslessons.com. Oh, your email address. Do you want to put that out there as well?
Yeah, I did. lcrogersbooks at
Okay.
gmail.com. Yep.
Okay. Got you. Okay. All right. And I want to thank everybody for their time. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank
And for the rest of
you.
y'all, y'all just be easy.
Thank you.